Hello and welcome back everyone. My name is Logan with West Desert Wheeler. In today's video, we're going to be covering my Class 2 competitions that I ran and participated in the North vs. Southern Utah RC Crawling Championship, and this is round 2 of the North Championship. So the way this series is running is that the Northern Series and the Southern Series are going to do 3 competitions, one each month, and then a final series where you have to place in the top 15 at one event to get an invite to the final. Myself, I am running the Southern Series, setting gates and putting on the whole thing. And running the Northern competitions is my buddy Luke, who I worked with in putting this whole thing together. I thought it would be really fun to have the Northern Utah guys face off and the Southern Utah guys in one final championship in Cedar City, Utah. Should be a great time. Another thing I want to cover is thank you and a huge shout out to High Noon Hobby. Alec over there has been putting out great content and I highly recommend that you go and check him out. He's been doing similar stuff to me, talking head videos and covering RC crawling content where he's out on the trails and running and showing you guys how things go, and then covering different topics like getting ready for your first RC crawler comp and just out and about and wheeling with friends. Great content. Be sure to check out High Noon Hobby. Thank you very much, Alec. I greatly appreciate all the times that you mentioned my channel in your videos. I really appreciate it, dude. So for this competition, the location is just outside of Dugway, Utah, which is properly in the middle of nowhere, and it's called White Rock Mountain. So out in the middle of the desert, and then you go even further into the desert, which is how I like it. But great location for this, actually. It was really cool terrain, super grippy rock, really awesome. A ton of terrain outside of the small area that we played on for this competition. Like I said, this is round 2, so I've already covered round 1. If you guys want to see that, I will put a playlist together of the North vs. South RC Crawling Championship. So the truck that I am running in this Class 2 is going to be my Rock Pirates RC Pirate Wagon. Now I have a video on that truck as well. In short, it's an SCX 10.2 chassis. It's got Capra axles. It's got an SCX 10.2 transmission. It's got a brushless system inside of it. And I've got a Savox servo in there right now. So great truck. It's got Spec RC comp cut wheels to narrow up the Capra axle width. That can be an issue when trying to fit through a gate, but thanks to the Spec RC wheels, it really helps this truck fit through those narrow gates in Class 2. Alright guys, it is time to check out how the runs went. I had a pretty solid run this whole weekend actually, and I had a great time out at the event. Let's see how course number 1 goes for the Pirate Wagon. Rolling out of that awesome start gate here, we are entering course and cone gate number 1, whatever you want to call it. Nice little vertical climb, no big deal. On to gate 2. This is a wedge between 2 random boulders sitting out there, and I didn't want the truck to slip too bad into the middle. Luckily, those Rock Pirates RC steel sliders keeping me balanced and letting me slip through, get through gate 2 nice and clean. 3 was a big drop and really a little bit of luck, a little bit of throttle, and you shoot out the end of 3. Gate 4, I had a problem with, so I did not get high enough, and I can see now watching the review of the footage that I should have taken a more aggressive line on my way in there. Unfortunately, I should have taken a reverse or something. I didn't do anything. I just drove right into that cone, which is not good, so next time I'll try and remember to not drive right into cones. That's usually a bad thing. Headed over to gate number 5. There's a boundary here, so you're going to end up running through these loose boulder rock areas, trying to get my truck hopped up in there. And I'm actually using that rock on the driver's side, just using the cab for traction and helping that truck pivot all the way around. And right here, I'm going to try and get balanced up on top of the rock that the arrow cone is on, as well as the far wall. And then the front tire and the rear tire fall back in the crack, but then I turn into it, get balanced out again, head on over to the bonus gate. Bonus gate, there's a small little pocket feature in the rock face on the climb. I use that to my advantage and for traction. Shot up the bonus line, no problem, getting negative 10 points for a clean bonus gate. Gate 6 is looking good, big steep rock wall. Like I say, a lot of traction here. I'm using Proline Crawler G8 tires, hooking up great, cruising through 6, using the little cracks and features on that face to help me get up it. Another boundary line for this gate, and as we approach it, you can see that little ledge right in front of my hood. I start to tip over sideways, I give it a lot of throttle, and what happens is that bumps me sideways, and then the rear drives like around and kind of loops me through there, and just by pure luck and chance, the truck tips sideways, the rear tire pushes it through, and it shoots straight forward, luckily right between the gates. So that could have gone very bad, but for me, I just lucked out and it went pretty well. On top of that, it lined me up pretty good for the next gate, which is a big climb, trying to avoid the large pocket on the way into gate number 8 here, which means I had to get pretty close to gate number 8 itself. Floated a tire there for a second, watched the rears, zip on up out of there, and then we're going to circle back around to 9, which is a drop off, kind of like a finger on this rock, and it looked really narrow, but not too bad to shoot off the end of there. As we cruise out of there, out of 9 and up into 10, which is a long, twisty crack, which is my personal favorite kind of obstacle to go out and crawl on. So as I'm working through this, you'll see me drop my tire, that front passenger, down into the crack. I'm doing that intentionally to try and get my rears to push up the wall. And I'm using those Spec RC plastic beadlock rings, which actually allow the truck to slip through on really grippy surfaces like that. Real happy. All I ended up hitting was that gate number 4 with a clean bonus. Thanks to Tyson right there for giving me a little fist bump on a good run. Feeling pretty good with a score of 0, no backups, nothing like that. Real confident in going into course number 2. Unfortunately, the course number 2 had a reputation for being a really tough course. Here we are, we're going to go run into the first couple gates on course number 2. Jumping out of the start gate here, a lot of loose rocks to navigate, and you don't want to get tripped up going through all that kind of terrain. Very easily could get your front bumper smashed into a wall that you had to back up out of or something like that. Working our way up a wall onto gate 1, and from what the judges were telling me is that nobody was making this, and so basically don't waste all your time trying to clean one at a certain point, just kill it and move on. Things are starting to look ugly for me here, truck's starting to tip real sideways. I clipped a gate and then I just work on over to gate number 2. Worked my way up the wall. Now I'm using that rock slider to pivot that truck around. Right here I bumped my frame into the wall, have to work some steering, wiggle around a little bit, got my fronts up. Very steep, very vertical. I can't quite get the hook that I'm looking for on that front passenger tire. There's a ledge up there that I just want to grab onto, and the truck just isn't quite getting it because it doesn't have the wheelbase to do so. The steel rock sliders are basically holding me up because I'm on a really 90-degree belly hanger. So I take a reverse here and I drive up into the wall. You can see I can use my servo there to pressure the truck in different ways and get it settled back down. Take another reverse. And what I'm doing is I'm really setting myself up on a totally different approach to this gate because the first way was just not working for me. I didn't see a way that it was going to work. Right here, my front end starts to push instead of climb. So I know that I need to just take a reverse right there because that's a key point where I need my truck to hook up and get those fronts to pull the entire truck up this wall. Knowing when and how to use the steering servo to get that front end up. So now I've got my hook on this ledge. However, I'm going through this gate 2 sideways and my rear is going to hit that gate number 2. Using my front servo to try and upset the truck and break traction on the rear tires to try and wiggle it through. Little blips of the throttle to try and get that truck to hop just a bit, and just trying to use every little trick in the book to get this thing wiggled through here. I also need to be careful on that aero cone that I don't turn my tires into the aero cone. But I mean, I'm trying to get a better view here, make sure I'm not going to drive into this 2 cone. But at this point, I've got a lot invested into this. I've got a couple reverses, I've got a lot of time, and I don't want to blow it and hit this gate at this point. Nice and clean, got through gate 2, pretty happy with that. Here we are, Alec with High Noon Hobby, grabbing some footage of everybody's runs out there. Thank you very much, Alec. Dropping down through gate number 3. I didn't set myself up well here. The rear tire is up on the aero cone side, trying to steer through it, and unfortunately the truck's just not doing what I'm asking it to. So I had to back up, which I'm running 25% overdrive, and when you reverse, the back tires are getting pushed into, the front end's outrunning the rears, and it can make your truck do some wonky stuff in reverse. So here we are, I got my rear tires way up on the number cone of the number 3 cone side of the wall. So now I'm driving through this nice and sideways. I know that this truck can handle some good side hills. Zip on out of gate number 3 and take a little rollover. I don't want to end up clipping this bonus cone that's sitting down here, so I'm using the servo to try and wiggle my way through. Throttle out, end up upside down in this little hole here, and I'm getting real aggressive with the throttle. And then right here, I know that if I turn up, if I'm on my side, I can turn my wheels up in the air and go full reverse, and my truck usually uprights itself. This one I was advised to just bump on up the wall. Got lucky, got myself set. I was real close to that aero cone, but I was able to squeak through there nice and clean. So thanks, Luke, for the advice of trying to bump it. Dropping down a very steep wall on over to gate number 5. On my slider here, you can see that those steel sliders allow those trucks to slide even on those super grippy rocks. On this approach, that left rear tire is going to fall off, and unfortunately I take a tumble, but it worked out pretty well. I was able to get set back up for this gate. I tried to turn up into the wall right here, but the truck wasn't rotating because that right rear tire was up against a rock and it wasn't going to let the truck turn up that wall like I'm trying to get it to do. Ripping around, getting set back up for gate number 5. And here we are working our way up into here. It took a little bit higher approach so that my tire's falling off a shorter ledge, but got my front left in that crack where the truck wants to be. Unfortunately, that number 5 cone is right in the way of where my truck wants that line. If I go any further driver, it starts lifting up in the air and the thing wants to roll over backwards. So I end up having to clip number 5 just barely and swing around up top and work my way down number 6. Now, there were some people going through 6 in reverse and pulling forward. I got real close to clipping it with that back tire. Luckily, I turned into the wall and was able to put the pressure away from that cone. And then I had to drop down into these rocks. You can see I was really struggling, taking a couple backups. Like I say, this is an ugly course. A lot of people were telling me that this one was going to be a rough one. Gate number 7 was one that I intended to get bumped up into this ledge. It was basically 2 ledges in a row. I'm trying to use the throttle to push me away from the wall so I have enough room to bump up into the ledge again. Had to take a small reverse, but I got after it with the throttle on that one. Was able to get set up pretty well. Nice little bounce turn driver to get through there. Just cleared it with that rear tire and working my way over to gate number 8. I think a lot of people with gate number 8 struggled because they tried to drive straight towards the gate, where the terrain itself, you have to go away from the gate in the direction that I'm going before turning into it. So right here is where you want to pivot it around. My truck did perfect, exactly what I wanted it to. Got the front tire up and over, and man, it is an aggressive angle, and it's a really bad belly hanger, which I was yelling at Luke for while I was running the comp. Luke was my judge for this run. Using the sidewall of my tire to just get enough traction to pull the whole truck up that ledge. I'm honestly surprised that that worked, but I'm not going to complain. That was pretty sweet. Thank you, Proline. I love the G8 compound. Getting turned around, making sure I use plenty of room to go over to gate number 9. Sideways, side hill, trying to use the inside edge of my front tire to hold the truck up on that ledge, but it's getting real light on the rear. That back tire is way up in the air, so I use some throttle. I do take a roll, but the truck ends up on top of its tires. I take one last peek at the bonus to see if I think I can do it, but originally I didn't think I could, so I had to go ahead and take the pass on that one, because if I hit a bonus cone, it adds a gate to my score, but if I clean it, it was -10. I'm going to cover something here in a second. As I go through gate number 10, this is the only way I could see my truck getting through here and being able to navigate these rocks. I take a reverse, just trying to wiggle my way through here without hitting the cones, and unfortunately, I just can't get the truck rotated or able to do anything else. This is the only line that this truck wants to get through that gate number 10, and unfortunately, my cab touched that arrow cone, and that ends out my run on this course. So class 2, course 2 was a little bit rough. I ended up with a total of 40 points, and course number 1 was a total of 0 points. Now what's interesting is on that bonus gate, like I mentioned, if I clean that gate, it's -10 points. If I hit that gate, it's +10 points. Now, I don't know where everybody else is lined up while I'm running the course, but as it turned out, second place was only 3 points ahead of me. So if I would have cleaned that, I would have grabbed a second place finish. But if I would have hit it, I wouldn't have left third place. That's where I ended up in this competition for class 2. I got myself a bronze at this one against, I think there was like 38 drivers or something like that, and some really great drivers up north, including a few drivers from the south that traveled up like myself. So awesome runs. I definitely want to send out a huge shout out and thank you to the event sponsors, Rock Pirates RC, Reefs RC, Joe Ropes. We had Deez Company donate some parts. We had 816 Garage donate some parts, and a couple others as well, including Luke himself putting up some cash, buying some prizes for people that we gave away in the raffle. So thanks to everyone who helped make that competition possible. I greatly appreciate it. It was super fun and I really enjoyed myself. I actually went out there Friday afternoon, camped out with about 20 people or so, did a night run, and had a great time into Saturday where we did the competition, and then I headed my way after that. I greatly appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Be sure to drop a comment down below what you think. Hit the affiliate links down below to support me, and you can check out all the sponsors links that will be in the description as well. We will see you guys in the next one. Keep the rubber side down.